Greetings. Welcome to ITR Live. I'm your host, Chris Hagenow, and we are back here in the Hendrickson Library, Center for the Preservation of Western Civilization, at ITR World Headquarters in Central Iowa. John Hendrickson and myself here today. John, it has been a full 2 weeks.
It has. It really has.
How many times? This is my trivia question.
Okay.
How many times last week did I say, John, we're going to record a podcast today, and then we didn't?
Quite a few.
Quite a few.
Yeah.
What did I say this morning?
That we were going to record even if we had to come back at 10 o'clock.
If we have to come back at 10 o'clock tonight in our pajamas, we are coming back to record an episode.
Yeah.
So, thankfully, we got to that. It didn't come to that because I don't think anybody really wants to see that. We can make whatever upgrades to the studio we want. That is not going to go well. So we are back. I'm glad to be back. We have a lot of things. Sometimes in the summer there isn't as much raw Iowa political news, but we do have a couple of things that I'm kind of fired up to talk about today, and we'll get those. I'm going to remind everyone before we go any further, we are on video. We're on YouTube. We're also across, all the major podcast platforms, whether you're on Spotify, Apple, whatever you get. So if you want to see our smiling faces, don't forget to go on YouTube and subscribe there as well. We need subscribers. We need you to share this with everyone out there. Okay, John, I want to start off with the regular feature. I think you've got a trivia question.
I do, yes.
Okay,
yeah,
so we've like I said, it's been a while. We really got a lot of ground to cover. So I don't want to forget this. So we're gonna get the trivia question out. People can think about this in case the other parts of the episode aren't as thrilling. So go ahead.
Sure. So this past Sunday was President Hoover's birthday. So our trivia question has to do with President Hoover. So as president, Hoover made several appointments to the United States Supreme Court. Who were the justices that President Hoover appointed? And then an extra credit, more challenging, who was Hoover's nominee for the Supreme Court that was rejected by the Senate?
I don't know that you could say it's significantly more challenging because I have no earthly idea of who I have a couple of names just because I remember the names from writing decisions in law school, but I have no idea. So this one, okay, this one's on you, Gustav. Like, I bet he's got it. I bet but we'll see. That's great. So, we need to find a way. John, I want you to remind me something. We need to start putting the trivia question into the comments, the show notes.
Yeah, I'll make a note of that.
And then we can, so write that up, send it over to me, and I'll make sure that gets included in the show notes. Or we could just, tease it, give people one more reason to actually listen to the episode. Okay. Couple of things today I want to talk about, since it has been a few days since we've been here. The recommendations of Iowa's DOGE task force was put together by Governor Reynolds. So they released their findings last week, I believe. So we're going to talk about that. And then there's been a lot of discussion around the country around congressional, and I guess I haven't even looked for sure, legislative redistricting in the middle of the decade. Usually, so anyway, I want to touch on that because I have a few thoughts on that as well. But let's start because I think this does impact state and local budgets and how we can have things be more efficient. But give the listeners, John, a background on just the governor's DOGE task force kind of up to this date or up to the date of them releasing their findings.
Yes, so they last week they had a meeting and they released what is a preliminary list of 45 recommendations, which in September now they will vote on those. And then the final report is due on September 29th, I believe, to the governor. And I'll just quickly go through some of the main, I won't go through all 45, but just some of the main ones that were in the recommended that they're going to be considering and voting upon. And remember, the focus on DOGE was to look at not only efficiencies in state government, but also focusing on property tax. So just to give people a reminder on that. So one of them was to establish a hotline for people to report burdensome regulations. Another one was to create an Amazon-style, what they're calling an Amazon-style website where you could renew your license, pay your a fee, or pay to renew your license and so forth. So it'd be kind of one central location. The other one was further agency collaboration and working together. Another one was what they're calling independent cities, where cities could basically not have services with the county that they're in and basically have their own services. They sort of dropped the 99 county consolidation idea, and they're looking at having cities and counties explore further shared services. And probably the biggest headline makers that came from the DOGE task force were really two major issues. One was merit pay for teachers, and then establishing sort of a database or dashboard where they could try to hold schools accountable in terms of performance. And so merit pay would be based on students' performance. And then the other one, probably the most controversial, was reforming IPERS.
I think that's absolutely right. I want to go through a little of this, and then I definitely want to talk about the IPERS thing for a minute. But I think there's some good ideas in here. I don't know that there's that many brand new ideas. And part of that, it's not an indictment of the idea of holding this or the task force itself, other than over the last, call it 10 years, I don't know, and under the Governor Reynolds administration, we've done a lot of these things already. That was kind of the theme, is that we've already done a lot of the DOGE things before that came out with President Trump.
Yes, yeah.
Right? And so a lot of these could be seen as continuations. You talked about some of the agency consolidation things and the regulatory. Mm-hmm. These are things that have already been undergoing. So I think that's good. You've heard me go on about the 99 county thing, John, right? It is
yes.
very
Yeah.
It's always been very popular for folks, especially that live in, Lynn, Polk, Scott County, to say we shouldn't have 99 counties. It does. Well, okay, maybe. What we shouldn't have is 99 duplications of the same service. I don't know that it costs us any extra money to have those boundary lines drawn up in 99 almost equal squares, although amazingly not at certain times. But anyway, so what if there's 99 subdivisions? It's just how much does it cost to duplicate those services? So if we're going to combine the services, like I said, we've done this in mental health, for example, where you've regionalized that system. Whatever you think of regionalization of mental health, fine. But we have gone down this path, and maybe it's road departments. Maybe we could take the whole recorder's office and make it a statewide function. Whatever those things are, we can do better with all of that. And whether or not there end to be 99 of it, I don't think really matters that much. The independent cities is interesting, and we need to do a little more research on this, John, because there have been proposals similar to this in the past, and some of it actually quite a bit of it predates, I think, either of us being involved in Iowa politics. There was a fairly serious proposal to have Polk County administer all of itself without the cities at one point, I believe. And I think that there are others. If memory serves, it's Indianapolis that has a similar kind of government. But do we need all those layers of government? Whether it is someone in Des Moines, do they need Polk County? Or whether it's somebody in, pick your other small unincorporated town, do they even need their city? It cuts both ways. But why do we need a lot of the townships we have? But yet we still do that. I think the layers of government thing is something that, whether it's this particular proposal or not, I think we should do. Am I on the right track on all that?
Yes, yeah, I think so. And I think that's kind of the goal, at least from some of the comments that were made.
Okay, so I want to talk about IPERS, John. I was a little surprised to see that recommendation in there, not because it may or may not be a good idea to save money, but because this was all so incredibly predictable about what the response would be. So the recommendation was to change, if I may be oversimplifying this, was to reform the IPERS, the state employee, well, I think it's not just state employee, public employee pension program where we would begin the process of transitioning to a defined contribution system instead of a defined benefit system. So IPERS is a traditional pension fund where you just get paid the same amount once you retire. Most Iowans under a plan like that are in a 401k type program where you contribute a certain amount every month. It's your account, and then you get that amount of money, and it's portable whenever you retire. Okay, I'm not even going to take a position right here on whether having that system is or is not appropriate. I have my own thoughts. Actually, IPERS, compared to other state pension systems, is actually in pretty decent shape from a funding standpoint. And clearly, it is important to folks that have several years invested and are depending on that when they retire. First of all, the proposal was only for new people into the system. The proposal, as it has always been, every time there's been a reform proposal to IPERS, has been to change it for people new into the system and continue the promises made to those that have been in the system. But that's important.
Yes,
Nobody's
yeah.
ever proposed taking the dollars away from somebody that has already decided to depend on them. But that hasn't stopped the left, because every time anyone on the right mentions the word IPERS, they lose their minds because they know they can win on the issue, because they know they can score political points. There was immediately, once this came out, you saw ISEA, the teachers union, and all of their friends on the left running to the media, running to social media, running to their people saying, here come Republicans again, they're going to take away your IPERS. As the playbook is well written, but here they come. And it is so disingenuous because they know it's not going to happen. They absolutely know. If you are a public employee in this state and you got a communication, whether it's from the TV or your union or whoever, they knew when they communicated with you that this wasn't going to happen, but they did it anyway because they want to score points. It came out immediately. I can tell you, just from having sat in those offices in the past, that House and Senate leadership were not happy to see this drop. And I can also tell you they have no plans to take on this issue, especially in an election year. But they're not going. This has been around for years and years. It frustrates me. But here's the part. I honestly, I started out keeping track as I'm scrolling through my Facebook feed over the weekend. I honestly lost track of the number of legislators that rushed to social media to say, we love IPERS. We're not going to touch it. It's great. Well, come on, guys. I mean, I understand it because you don't look. We did similar things when I was there, but the over the top praise for this thing is just, I don't get it. Because you're so eager to make this issue go away that you're just going to close it off forever. Am I overreacting to this, John?
No, I don't think so. No.
Because it may be that someday we want to look at a reform. But I don't get how over the top this has become. Because the benefits are better. And I understand that the benefits are far beyond what the vast majority of Iowans get in the private sector. It's a good benefit. And look, maybe that's even rightfully so, that they should get a benefit. And that's how you attract teachers for you. I understand the arguments. The left knows what they're doing. And you see their people buy it hook, line, and sinker every time. And you go into the comments on these Facebook posts, and it is liar, liar. You go in and click through the comments, and somebody says, hey, I'm not going to touch IPERS. We're not going to do it. I've talked to the speaker. I've talked to the leader. We're not touching IPERS. Again, nope, you're a liar. You're a liar. On down the line. Lie, lie, lie. Well, if they don't believe you anyway, what's the point of putting the Facebook post up? It's just a chance for them to call you a liar again, similar to like going to another legislative forum and letting the left yell at you. I don't know why we're hosting these things.
Yeah.
You're welcome to jump in, but I'm pretty fired up on this one, John.
No, I have a comment, but I'll let you continue.
No, look, I'm either going to lose the momentum here or I'm just going to get fired up again.
Yeah.
But look, it wasn't supposed to be a long monologue.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
No, I think you're absolutely right, and we can see the same thing happening on the national level with Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid.
Absolutely.
Now, I mean, the whole we're gonna die type thing.
Yeah.
That's been on radio and TV commercials. I mean, just basically using that as a ploy, scaring people that Republicans are going to take away these entitlement programs. And
never mind that we have a president right now that actually campaigned.
Yes.
Proactively campaigned in a Republican primary on securing those benefits.
Yes. Yeah.
Right or wrong.
Yeah.
I got the mailer.
Yeah. Yep. No, absolutely right. Yeah.
Okay, you're right. There is one small difference in those two situations. I think it's a good analogy. We could decide to keep IPERS forever, and it may end up costing us a lot of money, and that's just setting priorities. Look, you want to keep IPERS, there's a finite amount of money that the state can spend, and if we want to spend it all on shoring up IPERS or whatever, okay, we can do that. At the federal level, those entitlement programs cannot endure.
That's yes.
Something has to give, and they know it. Both sides know it. And so it isn't even a policy decision. It is completely just raw politics without regard for what is the responsible thing to do. And both parties know it.
Yeah. The other thing that came to mind about this is, I don't know if you remember in the 2019 property tax bill, and but in an effort to try to defeat that legislation, there was an effort of that groups were saying that was going to interfere with IPERS, and that was
I remember that one because I was, oh my gosh,
yeah, that was just ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. Yeah. There was it at some point. Our legislature needs to figure out the messaging that says you people are just wrong. And we're not doing this year. It is nobody's proposal. And we're not doing it, but I'm also not going to listen to this nonsense year after year. And instead of just tail tucked running for cover, because that just ends if we're going to do that every time something is politically difficult, we'll never get anything done. And this legislature has done too many great things. I don't think they should try and tackle IPERS, to be honest with you. At least not in the near term or the medium term even. It may save some money, but as our fearless leader downstairs likes to say, something, the juice isn't worth the squeeze on.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like not worth the expenditure of political capital to get there.
Yeah.
And I think there's arguments to be made that we just don't need to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we are, and I think I shared when this came out that I think it's Reason, who was a very libertarian organization that is basically very pro-reforming these type of programs, ranked us in the top 5 or top 10 best run systems, and we're 90% funded. So I mean, it's not that this is not a bad idea to do reform, but we're not underwater like some other states.
That's exactly right. We made many investments in shoring up IPERS during my years in the legislature. So this idea that they're just looking to go rip those dollars away it's just wrong. It's just factually incorrect, ignores history. And well, here's a couple other thoughts, John. You want another reason they're not going to do IPERS? Because legislators and their staff are all on it.
Yes, that's a good point. Yeah.
And the idea, it has, and I cannot say this enough, the messaging from the left is that Republicans are coming after your IPERS. That is exactly or very close to the words they're going to use. And there has never once been a proposal to take that benefit away. It's always been to change the formula or the investment rate or new hires. But here's the bottom line. We cannot let the left lie and exaggerate and fabricate messaging points that drives policy on the right. We just can't. This state the voters elected these people on a Republican agenda, and they can proudly say to their folks in their districts, I don't believe we're going to do this, and these people need to knock it off. So fight back. If we have learned one thing in the age of Trump is that you can fight back.
Yeah,
Against,
I think
this
you're.
kind of
I think that point is crucial. I hope people listen.
I've made it way too many times already.
No, but I don't think we can hear that enough.
Okay, it's okay to fight back. That's what people are looking for. Okay, we're gonna turn the page because we got another topic. I want to talk about redistricting, John. This has been, I think, the big one right now is the whole fiasco in Texas with Governor Abbott's proposal on redistricting.
Mm-hmm.
But set the stages. What's going on there? Why is this being talked about now? Because it usually happens after the census every 10 years. Why now?
So this whole situation started in Texas where they have a special session that was called and originally to deal with flood issues and property tax issues, and now it is dealing with redistricting. And so and what happened is when Governor Abbott proposed this, and basically President Trump has been behind this as well, that the Democrats have fled. And so they're basically making accusations of gerrymandering, and now this is actually.
Can I please?
Yeah.
Can I
go
please?
Ahead. Yep.
So the accusation was gerrymandering from Democrats. Where did they run to?
Where
did they run to, John?
That wonderful state of Illinois. That
has the most clean, compact, fairly drawn districts of any state in the country.
Yeah. That's no corruption. It's fiscally sound and.
I don't know if I will have the time in post-production. I may put up a map of the Illinois congressional districts where you literally have districts that snake all the way through the state in an effort to maximize Democrat representation in Congress. There is no state in the union that is more transparently gerrymandered than Illinois. And yet that's where they go so that they can claim gerrymandering. It is beautiful. I love it.
And so now there's other states considering this. I believe last time I checked, Indiana was considering this, and Florida, and maybe a few others. But so anyways, the left, of course, Democrats are saying, well, the governors are being strong-armed by the president to do this because they're afraid of being wiped out in the upcoming midterm election. And so this is the Democrats' argument for why this is going on is that it's Republicans trying to shore up their chances for the midterms.
What is the counter argument to that? I mean, why, if you're a legislator in Texas, what's the argument as why now?
Well, they are. I think one for Texas, of course. And this is one thing what the president is doing is one is to rebalance with the census. I mean, because there had been a lot of undocumented individuals that had been counted, and sort of having a balance struck within that system of new districts.
Well, as I understand, part of the argument is along those lines that there were a lot of folks included in the census that should not have been, and that then skewed the numbers in favor of the Democrats.
Yes, yeah.
There's been, I spent a lot of time on districting over the years. I was on the redistricting commission here in Iowa when we did this last time. We do have I think a pretty fair process. I don't think, I'm going to come back to that. I do think Iowa's done a pretty good job. We have actually been used as a model in other states as they've tried to reform this. I know specifically Wisconsin took a run at trying to put in a style like Iowa's. The districting process is partisan. It just is, and it always has been in this country. The only way you get to something like Iowa's is if you truly get buy-in from everyone that we're going to try and do it. But I don't think that either party can really claim, at least nationally, the high ground on this. Like we said, you've got Illinois. California, for example.
Yes, yeah.
Gavin Newsom in California, they sort of toyed around with this too, and I think they've backed off of that now. But yeah, there's other states too where it's just straight up they draw districts. One of the things that I think is not always widely reported is that the idea that these districts are drawn just to maximize representation from one part or the other. Often what's really going on is to secure the reelection of the people that are voting on the maps.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's
Yeah.
really going on. I will tell you, having been through this now 3 times in Iowa, either as an elected or afterwards, is that the number one criteria is the reelection of state legislators. Partisan balance comes a little bit later. What's really far down the line is congressional districts. I mean, they kind of care, but not really. It is about their own majorities and their own reelects. So keep that in mind as you think about this, is what's really going on in Texas, and I don't know because I haven't followed it that close, but look behind the scenes on that. I certainly don't think there's anything coming in Iowa on this, but coming back to the idea that this is always a partisan thing. When we went through this last time, Democrats in the legislature just kept. It's similar to the IPERS thing, to be honest. Were critical of Republicans. Were going to game the system. They were going to cheat. They were going to amend the maps. It kept accuse. Look what they're going to do. Look what they're going to do. And in the end, you know what Republicans did? The thing that they said they were going to do all along, which was follow the process, and voted the second map in. You know, which it was the first time in my memory that Republicans had total control of the legislature and the governor's office and still held true to the system. And I guess it's a testament to them for following it. Now, so what's next here on this, John, with the Texas thing or anything else?
Well,
where's this going to go from here?
That's an interesting question, because if I understand right this morning, basically there is trying to get these Texas Democrats to come back. And it's sort of like what happened in Minnesota early this year when their session started, when the Democrats fled I remember
Wisconsin. I think it was the senators in Wisconsin
famously
fled during Act 10.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
They fled. They fled the Capitol once when I was there.
Oh, really? Yeah,
I think it was over a gun measure. I can't remember. But
yeah,
they
so they're
just went downtown. So
yeah, so they're trying to get these folks back, and that'll be interesting in itself. And I mean, Senator John Cornyn, I saw over the weekend, had said something about that of even getting involved in this, and so it's it'll be interesting to see how this will be resolved.
Yeah.
But I want to just say quick, you're absolutely right on how they use this as similar to IPERS or any type of an attack to scare people and make it, as a partisan issue.
Maybe the other part too, and far be it from me to give the left ideas, but at some point you keep what the fear mongering that's not grounded in fact and is continually disproven. How many times are you going to cry wolf?
Mm-hmm.
And it just makes the hysteria becomes less and less believable over time. I don't know. But I think that's going on here.
Yeah.
And it's not happening in Iowa right now. Nobody's talking about a new census or redistricting or anything. But, this is another one too, though, where you, in defense of that hysterical argument, you set out some markers that make it difficult, because you know what? I think there's some things they should do to change Iowa's redistricting process. Keep the bulk of the plan in place. I mean, for example, we have allowed population deviation to become the overriding factor in anything. Is that every district's going to have almost the exact same number of people in it, and everything else comes next. Well, okay. I mean, I can understand philosophically where it's coming from, mm-hmm. but we're now willing to rip apart communities that have a similar shared interest from having one individual legislator represent them because, population deviation. So that is one change that I'd like to see them make, is some respect for, it doesn't have to be, none of them have to trump one another, but a respect for communities. But my point is, there may be some of those small tweaks you want to make to the process, but now you've gone so overboard in saying, oh, we have the best in the country, can't change it at all. Well, now if you do come around to try and change it, left's going to be right back at you again. And it closes the door for making some of those more common sense, probably widely supported if you went about it the right way, changes. I don't know that any change to our redistricting electoral process is ever going to be widely supported by the left. But do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's, again, that messaging, both attacking it and the over-the-top defense of it, doesn't get us any closer to where we need to be on policy. I guess maybe it's the broad point of the whole episode, John.
No, I think that's right. And we're also seeing this on some other issues last week that were in the headlines. And for example, the left is jumping on this brain drain in Iowa. And it's all last week I saw headlines and articles and basically blaming the conservative policies for driving people out of Iowa and keeping people away. And I just don't think that's right.
And they always, every time they find one or a small handful of stories, and I don't know if I've said it on the show before, John, but the plural of anecdote is not data. And the data shows that people are moving to Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we're not focused on that.
No.
You know what? If there is one look at that, it's like, well, they're not the people we want. Well, wait a minute. What is that supposed to mean?
Yeah.
Because people aren't graduating the University of Iowa and choosing to live. And I don't know. When are we going to play? We're now placing value judgments on what kind of people we want to have live in the state of Iowa. I mean, I have some of my preferences, but be that as it may, you're always welcome, John. You're one of us now. But I think that's another one of these. Yes, we should. If we could design and fast forward to the end result, we would love to have. We've talked about this. Iowa's the shining city on a hill that everyone wants to move to, and we've done a lot to get us there. But you know what? We've made some decisions as a state that this is the policies that we want to have in place. And if there are people that don't like those, well, you know what? You can move to Minnesota with its budget disaster and radical social policy. No, I'm not kidding. There is a place for you.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of having 50 states is you can
right.
find the one that fits you.
Yeah.
And guess what? There's people choosing Iowa. It works great. I was talking with somebody the other day that had, I think it was some new neighbors move in, and had to relocate for their job. And their choice was Manhattan or Iowa. What'd they pick?
I'm hoping Iowa.
Pick Central Iowa.
Yeah.
And couldn't be happier. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
And maybe there's some other American that'd be like, yeah, you know what? I want to live in Manhattan. That's for me. And I want rent control and I want rampant crime and all that. That is for me. But guess what? Life's pretty good here in Iowa. I will take it. I love Iowa. And that's the other thing that I'm committed to trying to do, John, is we are going to be apologists for the state of Iowa, right?
Not that, what was that, Mondami or whatever?
Yeah.
Socialist.
That's what you want. They love him.
Yeah.
That is the key to the future, is just straight up socialism, Marxism. We will come out on top. And yet, you know what? I'll bet we're not going to see the brain drain article written in the New York Times as people continue to flee Manhattan in droves for places like Florida.
Yeah.
We don't write that. We're just going to find the one-off story and put that, and then everybody loses their mind over it. Guess what? Okay, I'm gonna end on this, John. Okay. Our policymakers in Iowa need to keep doing what they're doing because it's working. It's working for the people that are here, and it's working for people that want to come here. It may not work for every single person, but they are winning elections, and they're getting things done, and it's working for the state and the people that elected him. And long may it continue. And they do not get distracted by the hysterics and the outright fabrications of the left as they try, because their whole goal is to stop you and distract you. They are not trying to seek better policy. They want to spend more. They want to take more. They want to regulate more. That's their goal. And they want to see you defeated. Don't let them win.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Anything else today, John?
I do have one thing.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
As I
yeah.
rip your
And
papers out of your hand.
no, I had an article last week, and it was on what FDR can teach us about local government.
Oh boy.
And I just wanted to say there were some comments I think that our colleagues shared with me on Facebook that basically said did I become a new dealer? And I don't think people read the article because I just want to reassure.
Nobody reads the articles, Sean. They're just reading the headlines.
I just want to reassure listeners that I've not become an FDR new dealer, and I'm not endorsing the new deal with that. But the article was basically something FDR said when he was in Sioux City during the 1932 campaign that would be very surprising if you read the article about basically putting limits on local governments for property tax relief. So I wasn't endorsing a new deal or anything like that.
Sounds a little bit like it, John.
Yeah.
Sounds a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm still not sold either.
Yeah.
I think you're going soft on us is what I think. But yeah, check out that article. It's a good one. And John's had a widely published piece on Hoover.
Yes, yeah,
too. So
yeah.
I know
yeah.
I saw that in the Cedar Rapids Gazette.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's a great piece talking about the legacy of Hoover as we go into America's 250th anniversary. So really good stuff. All right. Now, do you have anything else, John?
No,
you got
I'm
it all
done.
out?
Yeah, got it all.
Good.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
Because hopefully we'll be back here to talk again sometime before 2 more weeks is in it.
Yes,
I have lofty goals for us to get up here and do it.
Well, it was busy. I mean, it was a busy last week.
It was. Actually, it truly was. I was out for several days.
Yeah.
And then just getting back, there was a lot going on.
Yeah.
And but we're back in the swing of things now. Get the state fair gone. Get moving towards back to school. Things will really ramp up in Iowa politics around the time that kids back in school, get past Labor Day into the fall. And that's when you really see things will start to pick up again. And we'll be right here ready to cover it,
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Okay,
yeah.
good. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Thanks for being patient with us. We appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to tell your friends. And with that, we will see you next time on ITR Live.